All right, I think we got things going here. Thanks for joining up. Sorry I started a little late here. Give me 1 second and I'll start the share and we'll get this thing sort of kicked off here. Got to find my slides. All right. We'll get going here in just a few minutes. Got a few people joining up. Very nice, very nice. All right. So a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. Let's say 2:05. I'll give since I was late, I'll give people a few more minutes to get settled here. And then we'll get going. I'm going to pause the record for a second. Hit record. Share my screen, I think. Sorry, I'm bouncing around in my screen share here. All right, here we go. Wait another minute. I guess while we're waiting there, if you guys have any questions, you can use the poll, not the poll, sorry, Q&A, I guess, button in the Zoom. And you can ask a question through there. You can post it anytime. If there's if I see it, I'll maybe answer it then. Otherwise, I'll just wait to the end and answer questions. Solve your headaches in 2021. I assume information technology headaches. I don't claim to solve all your problems in 2021. Only if you're looking to do network documentation, then yeah, I could probably solve that problem. But you know, other issues, boss issues, money issues, that kind of thing. Sorry, probably can't help you there. Maybe money, I don't know. Maybe they'll help you troubleshoot faster, save a few bucks there. Or save a few bucks because you're going to be well documented and you won't need all those consultants on staff anymore. I don't know. We'll see. But so I'm this guy here, Jason Sherman, supporter and SE doer of tasks. So I'm a pre and post guy. I do pre-sales support. So usually if you want to demo the software, have technical questions, I'm usually the guy that gets on the call and answers those or shows you a demo. And if you're a customer, I'm usually helping you with issues or problems or training or getting you started with your project and that kind of thing. So I have other people that do some of that too as well, but I'm I guess one of the primaries on doing that sort of thing. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay and can see my screen. If not, hopefully someone will chime in. Overview. So this is really about, information technology. It's really about documentation, learn how you save significant money with solutions that pay for itself in the first year. I think that's more with respect to, having information at your fingertips, which is kind of the second one. Not having information can cost you time, cost you money, right? How healthy is your infrastructure? More from a physical standpoint, how is things connected? What's the overview? But also, things like discovering your network, discovering new networks, helping you document your network in a more automated fashion, but also automation. So from the standpoint of, you want to do a discovery, SNMP, whatever it happens to be, I want to go out and have the network discovered. And I want to, help it, sort of track the information that I care about. Nobody likes being asked questions like, tell me about this part of the network. It doesn't seem to be working. What's the issue? And you're not really sure how that network is connected because there's really no documentation that's up to date or hasn't been up to date in years. So you might be looking at old documentation, and it's frustrating because one, you're not given time to, of course, document the network properly, which is typically the case. But then when there's an issue, there's like, well, why isn't the documentation up to date? Well, it's like catch-22, right? So it's really quite frustrating usually from that standpoint. We have these polls. I'm going to throw a polling question up there just to see what you currently use to document and map your network. You can choose more than one: spreadsheets, Visio, combination of both, coworkers who have everything in their brains, nothing, and other. No one said nothing yet, so I guess that's a good thing. You've got some documentation out there. That's always nice to see. But yeah, spreadsheets and coworkers seem to be the big winner here, and other. Little Visio too. Visio, it's a good product. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I think Visio is a fine product. It's just hard when you start to grow and you're doing a lot of documentation. Visio is not, I think, a long-term solution, but short-term it can be very good. Same with spreadsheets. I think spreadsheets are great, very powerful. My goodness. I think I know probably 0.1% of everything you can do with a spreadsheet. That's probably true for Visio too, from that standpoint, but all good stuff. All right. Yeah, the big winner, of course, spreadsheets and Visio. We've got a coworker, though, out there that knows everything. So that's good to see too. So let me close that poll. Like I said, at the end of this, I think I had 2 polling questions. Let me see if I have another one here. Oh, let's see, polling question. Oh yeah, just what you were looking at, sort of interested in. Interested in today: troubleshooting, lowering costs, stay on top of server health, getting documentation, current, and some of these things are tied together, right? I mean, for me, lowering IT costs and troubleshooting kind of go hand in hand, because if I can troubleshoot faster, then I'm lowering my costs. I don't need as many people, maybe. Server health, same thing. I think it lowers your costs if you have an idea of your server health, and just documentation current as a whole. So for me, I use documentation. I use NetTerrain. That's our software for our documentation, and I use it to map out our sort of network overview of how things are connected together, what pieces and parts, how they fit together. I'm a big cloud user, so I use a lot of Azure and AWS. So my documentation is actually, a lot of it is coming from those systems. I pull data from those systems, and it helps me document those systems. I have some manual stuff, of course, I have to put in too, because I do a lot with users and passwords. I store a lot of that data, but I store other things too. So like vendor information, I put that into my NetTerrain system. I have a whole diagram of just vendors, who the vendor is, contract IDs and phone numbers, who to call if there's a problem, and so on. And that's a pretty regular thing I go to, besides the network documentation side, because if I have a problem, for instance, we do this VoIP phone stuff, and we had a new on board, a new salesperson, and so I needed to add them in, extensions and the software we need to install and all these things. I don't remember any of that stuff, so we document it. I call open tickets and just say, hey, I need all this stuff. And it just makes it seamless. It's just one place to go, very easy to do, and kind of get things configured and set up and rolling very quickly, versus me fumbling around trying to search Outlook, which is god awful for searching. Sorry, most Microsoft products I'm pretty in tune with, but Outlook I think is a fine tool, but my God, their search is terrible. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. But anyway. So yeah, I mean, I do tons of documentation on our own product. This is not that documentation. What I'm going to show you here is NetTerrain, which is the software I use internally, but also people buy to help document their network. So I'm going to talk about sort of some of the automation sides and some of the things you can do inside the software, and just show you some example diagrams. I'm not going to spend a ton of time, talking about every little detail. If you want to learn more about it, you can ping us, go and ask us questions, and you can sign up for a trial and so on. So, give it a go. Or you can also use this demo project. In fact, this demo project, I'm going to copy this. You know what? I'm going to put this in. Can I share this? Let me see. Participants. Doesn't look like I can post this, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it here in the URL at the top so you guys can see it. So there's the demo. And I was just there, of course, to come back. but it's demo.graphicalnetworks.com/demo. And if you go here, you'll actually get to go to the site and see all the stuff I'm showing you as a read-only user. So if you want to navigate this project, and I'm going to point out, look for the big green flags or the green arrows, because those are the things that kind of point in different directions of the software. Otherwise, you kind of get lost because it does have a lot of data in the project itself. There's one diagram, takes a little bit of time to load up, about 7 seconds, because it's a big network of stuff. And I'm going to navigate down to that, and you're going to see that. And if you hover in the upper left corner, look, I already got 3 anonymous people in here. It looks like some people might have gone there. So that's awesome. You can see what diagrams you guys are into. Nice. Anyway, so, you know, how is this going to help you? I don't know. It may not. You know, software is what it is. It's you know, if you have a pain, software sometimes is the cure, and sometimes it's not. You know, I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods. It's got to be the right fit for you, right? So if you're trying to do outside plant, inside plant, document your data center network, you're trying to do some DCM stuff. When I say DCM, data center management from the standpoint of seeing power and temperature, we got some stuff for you in here. If you're trying to manage the network, like you're trying to find an alternative or SolarWinds or something, I don't know why you would, but you know, something like that, it's actually a very good product, but you know, they obviously have some problems right now. We don't do that kind of stuff, the stuff they get into, you know, a lot of detailed monitoring and that sort of thing. We do SNMP discovery, so you can help document the network and do discovery with other tools and software, but we're not taking credentials where we can like log into your systems like SSH into a server or something, right? So it's mainly SNMP, which is like a read-only community string. Usually that, I won't say it's, you know, 100% secure, but people seem to be breaking and stuff. Anyway, moving on. So a couple places to look if you are going to go into our demo software just to peruse. The higher education network, and then the EM is pretty good. Now the EM takes you to another system, the DCM console, and you need the user and password for this. So the user and password is actually over here on the left-hand side. It says DCM guest. So you'd come over here and type in DCM guest. And then the password should be power me up 1, capital P. And hopefully, I don't know if I can read that, but I'm gonna try and log in, see if that was right. Ooh, it locked me out. Hopefully it didn't lock me out, but here's power me up 1. Let me try that again. Ooh, strike 2. Oh, I got DCM guest 1 in here for some reason, sorry. Let me try this again. Ah, there we go, logged in. So this software, this allows you to actually see like data centers from a power temperature standpoint. So if you look down here, this shows you trending of power and temperature over time for the last week, hour, month, year, whatever. And you can see kind of trends up and down and so on. It's pretty cool. But if you don't care about monitoring power and temperature over time, don't worry about it. Skip the EM, right? But if you're trying to save money, and with respect to power, temperature, cooling, of course, and power, that can be a good product for you. So it might be a good place to go. NetTerrain higher education. If we, so double click me first. This kind of talks about navigating and shortcuts and stuff. So it's actually a good thing to read. But if we go into higher education, this is going to show you some different examples. Like this is an outside plant example where you're seeing a lot of big fiber spans. And if you zoom in, you're going to see some of the campuses and how these campuses sort of connect through to each other, different wiring closets and data centers and how they connect up, you know, between campuses and so on. It's kind of cool. You can double click also on the links themselves. So if you want to see a little, what we call the CLR, circuit layer record, it kind of shows you that Frostburg connects over to University Systems, which connects to University Campus, which connects to University of Maryland. Anytime you double click on a link, you'll kind of see that. But let me go back for a second. So if we go back to this inside the NetTerrain higher education network, right? You'll see the green arrow. It says, hey, click the turtle. Actually, you want to double click the turtle technically. So you double click the turtle and it drills down. You can also navigate on the left-hand side I didn't mean for this to turn into sort of a demo project or demo, showing the project. But if this is what you're looking for, outside plant, because you're trying to document your fiber infrastructure, you're trying to accommodate or make sure that you're using your infrastructure effectively, right? Going back to cost, because you don't want to have to lay more fiber if you already have fiber in place. That's expensive, right? Pulling those fiber cables through, going out and contracting that's no good. And if you want to troubleshoot better, right? You want to know, hey, if somebody knocks out my manhole or the conduits that are connected to my manhole, what's going to be impacted? What circuits, right? What fiber cables are cut? Where do those cables connect to? What do I need to reconnect to get my infrastructure back in place? Is there a redundant loop somewhere, et cetera, et cetera? So just follow these tags. It'll give you an idea of, some of the things you can do. Get yourself a nice mouse and a wheel so you can zoom in and out quickly, unless you're really good at a trackpad. Then, of course, you can probably navigate better. My son can navigate all this stuff on a trackpad because, he's young and his brain is malleable like that, I guess. Mine's not. Mine's kind of more rock-like these days. So we go into like a building data center, getting out of these green arrows. But sort of going back again to the topic at hand, how do we document our infrastructure, save money? Well, capacity is important when you're talking about infrastructure. Capacity for things like maybe conduits. What's the fill rate of your conduits between in the buildings or in outside plant? Do we need to add more conduit, or are we running out of space? So data centers, right? You go into a data center, you want to know, hey, not just power and temperature, maybe those you don't care about, like I was showing before. Maybe you want to know, hey, are these cabinets all full? Do I have any empty cabinets? If I do, what rows and racks are they in? Oh, well, here are my green ones. I bet those are empty. Yeah, they are. Yellow ones are sort of in between. My red ones mean that they're pretty much full. I can view my cabinets based on rack utilization. I can also view them based on power or weight. So if I want to see that, I can. Some of the things that are helpful, of course, in the realm of documentation, you might need to track power. You might need to know what circuit breaker is feeding a particular rack, cabinet, et cetera. You might want to know sort of how the backbone works as far as your battery banks and your generators. What's the whole flow of that happens day to day? Those are nice things to know. So when the question comes up, or if you've got to test your generators, I'm going to test generator 1. What's going to be impacted on the downside when generator 2 is not on and I cut off power and stuff to do all these tests. What's kind of going to happen? Do I have some documentation that kind of leads me down the right direction? Cabinets. So if you want to see cabinets, rack capacity, and so on, those things can certainly help you. And of course, all these things lead to better information, documentation, so you can answer questions that people ask. Okay, my circuit's down. Who do I call? Let me go look up my vendor. Let me look at my circuit that AT&T is providing, or Verizon. Let me see my redundant circuit. Is that kicking in? Did it not kick in? Who do I call? So you can have that all in one place. This may not be the place for some of that information, but certainly the physical connections, right? If I want to know about physical or logical connections in my network, my data centers, this is a great place to go. So I can go in and look at and go, oh, there's UMBC, there's UMBC campus. What does that pathway look like? Oh, I got a fiber cable, 12-strand fiber cable that goes from the Brendan Uribe to the manhole on Campus Drive. What's inside that cable? Which strands? Oh, here's all the strands. Are there circuits associated with those strands? Yep, right there. I've got a circuit that goes from the McKeldin Library to the Brendan Data Center, and this is the circuit that basically is traversing. It's a 6-hop circuit, right? So I could view that on the map and say, hey, show me the circuit path that goes from the data center to the library. So if the library calls me and says, hey, they're having a problem, can't seem to get to the system, I can at least look at the physical documentation and go, oh, here's the pathway. Let me go investigate all the fibers. And more importantly, let me go start on the on the library side and go in there and let me check out their wiring closet and let me see what their router is and so on. And do I need to SSH into something and start to check things, right, on the connections? Because I know there's a connection coming in here, right? And do I want to track that through and see what the primary device, router, switch, etc. is sort of that. So if there's any questions, please post those. I'm going to talk about one other thing before I let you guys go, and that's sort of the building documentation. I always get the question, how do I build the documentation? This seems like a lot of work and so on. First of all, we're drag and drop tools, so it's pretty easy to use. However, import export, you can do Excel to import data. You can basically build your whole net. Most of this project I have here was built with Excel. I put data in Excel sheets, I format it. I'm not saying to do hierarchy, it's pretty easy. When you get into connections, it gets a little harder. When you get into strands, it gets even harder, but it's not terrible. There's some learning curve involved, but it's not awful. It's not going to take you months or anything. Learn in a few hours. And then we have the collector, NetTerrain collector desktop app. There we go. The collector is a tool that you can install on your desktop, a server, different parts of the network. It's a Windows-based tool collector, and it allows you to connect to different systems. So if you want to pull data out of, via SNMP, you can come in here and configure IP address range or ranges and have it do a discovery. You want to connect to your AWS infrastructure and have it, show you discovered information from AWS, your Elastic IPs, your instances, or there's tons of data you can get out of AWS and Azure and SNMP and EM and so on. These connectors allow you to, connect to these different systems and take advantage of that data. Things like vCenter or Spectrum or SolarWinds, ServiceNow, all these things you can connect to and use that data to build your documentation to help you automate that documentation so you're not hopefully manually doing a lot of work on a day-to-day basis to keep your documentation up to date, right? Of course, there's always work. There's work involved in the beginning on the front end, but hopefully you set it up in a way where you are going to take advantage of the data that's out there, or do a discovery with something like SNMP and take advantage of the systems and the tools that they provide. So, with that said, that's all I have really to talk about. Certainly I could talk more about all kinds of stuff, but as far as this goes, I think we're good. And again, I'm going to stop the share and just see if there's any questions. If there's not, feel free to reach out to us. One other thing. If you want to try out NetTerrain, go to netterrain.us. Sorry, I do not have my share on. I'm going to turn this back on if I can find it. Too many little buttons open. All right. Share. There we go. Share screen. So go to netterrain.us. This is our new SaaS environment. So if something happens to it, you got a problem or an issue, please let us know as soon as you can. Shouldn't be a problem, but new systems, things go. This is a Christmas present to ourselves. Wanted to get this launched into the world. So netterrain.us. You can come here, start a free trial. All you do is press a button here, put in your name of the organization or whatever you want your domain to be called, which would be something.netterrain.us. Put your name, your email address, a password, hit submit. Your email address is going to be your login, by the way. Your name is just a name for reference. But you go in, you hit submit, get logged in. You'll get a blank piece of paper to work with, and then you can try and figure out NetTerrain from there. If you do this, you sign up, pay attention to help under not support, because that's really for customers. But you can call us if you have questions. By all means, call us. Go to Graphical Networks, find the phone number, give us a shout, or email sales@graphicalnetworks.com. If you go to PDF guide, there's a user guide. It's about 400 or 500 pages. You can fire that up and kind of walk through. Also, when you first sign up, it's going to take you through what's called the sort of the quick start. It's like a little dragonfly wizard thing that pops up. You should do that for sure. Check it out. You can always reference back to this demo project under help. I think if you go to, actually, it may not have the links in there yet, but anyway. So yeah, sign up, give it a go if you want to try out NetTerrain. Otherwise, just give us a call if you got questions. We can walk through a more robust demo for you if you need it or want to talk about things in more detail. So I got some questions here. I'm going to stop my share. So give me 1 second. Let me go to the Q&A. Cloud-based only? No. We are cloud-based, or you can purchase software to install in-house. We require a Windows server and a SQL Server database. SQL Server database can be SQL Express, or it can be, an existing database farm that you have where you just stand up our database inside of that. But you do need Windows. We're a Windows-only platform at this point. But we also have the cloud. Can it be installed locally? Yes, I just answered that question. How often can you poll and discover the network SNMP? Do you need an agent? To do an SNMP discovery, you don't need an agent. What you do need is our collector. So in the collector, you put in your IP address ranges, you put in your community string or strings, version 1, 2, and 3 for the SNMP versioning that we support. I hope you're not using version 1 anymore. 2 or 3, of course, are more secure. 3 is the most secure. How often can you poll? You can poll down to every second or 5 seconds. I forget what the number is. But truthfully, that's a function of your network and where the equipment is and how many pieces of equipment, right? So we'll poll, every couple seconds for the devices, but obviously you're talking about 10,000 pieces of equipment. You're not going to be polling every 5 seconds. So that's based on your network, but you can poll pretty regular. Discovery, that's up to you. You can technically discover every 5 seconds. You wouldn't want to do that. You probably discover every 24 hours or something, but you can do it every hour or whatever. It's up to you. Can you discover neighbors, CP, LDP? Yes, you can, especially using Cisco. LDP is non-Cisco, so yeah. You can discover connections, layer 2 and layer 3 both. Not that you necessarily care about the layer 3 that much, but since that's IP, you may get a lot more stuff sort of in the mix. Remember, it's a discovery of connections, so it's not true physical, right? It might show you the port you're connected to, but of course, it's not going to show you something like a patch panel in between. But from an automation standpoint, I think it's a pretty good way to go. Vlan Discovery. So VLAN data is actually a data point for the port. So when you click on a port, you would see the VLAN information. But I'm not sure that VLAN information, I think it's going to be in the version 9 release, which is due out very soon. It's not, currently we're running version 9 on the SaaS environment when you sign up. But when you do the discovery, you're not going to be seeing the VLAN in net terrain. You're going to see it in the collector right now. So we're kind of putting those pieces together. And I don't know if that's going to be in this version 9 release or version 9.1. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be in version 9. So you'll be able to click on a port and actually see the VLAN data for that port. That's the plan. So the best laid plans. Anybody else? Other questions? Again, try it out if you want, or give us a call. We can do a more extensive demo with you, answer questions, whatever. We're not strong arm tactic kind of guys. We just talk to you and answer questions, see if it's the right fit. If it's not, we'll tell you. If you're looking for something else, like a network management tool, like I was saying, something like SolarWinds or something along those lines, I think there are other products that do that versus us. But we can do status though. So if you're just looking for discovery and maybe status of a device, we can do that now pretty well for you. So, but network documentation is definitely our wheelhouse. All right, nothing else. Oh, we're past the hour anyway, so or a half hour. Hey, it's good talking to everybody. Happy New Year. Talk to you later. Bye.